I can't hear a word you're saying.
All righty. Well, welcome. It is February 16th, 2024. And this is the Let's Minnow. It's Friday night with Ron and friends. And we have quite a few people here right now. I want to say thank you first to my wife, my lovely wife. We've been married 44 years as of today.
Wow.
So
Congrats.
that was a milestone.
Congratulations.
Stepmother said we wouldn't make it 10 years. So
I think we ought to give your wife a prize for putting up with you all those
she
years.
gets a prize. She got me, Eric. Okay.
Oh, consolation. I got you.
Soldier boy, you're the man.
There you go. There you go.
I think you should let her carry the gun for the next 44 years. See what happens.
She carries one.
Funny.
So, but tonight I thought about doing something a little different. I titled it tonight types of leadership, 5 different ways of leadership. And the reason I did that is because I was thinking back in my years of being on this earth and the many, many different things that I've done, both in the civilian life and military life, law enforcement life, and just things in just regular jobs, about the different kind of leaderships that I've worked for compared to what I'm doing now, what we are doing now. And when I became a sergeant in one of the agencies, they had me go to a leadership school where they taught five different ways of leadership. And there's different ones. There's 5 different ways. There's 3 different ways. There's 8 different ways. It depends on who you want to listen to on the internet. But there are several of them, and it's kind of fun to listen to because you start thinking of people, and you start thinking about people's names that you've known and that you've worked for and how they were. So I put together first a little presentation that I want to play, and then we'll start talking to everybody about it and get some different opinions. And I hope you enjoy tonight, and then we'll chat at the end of it with some stuff. So hold on just a minute. Let me pull this thing up. And I thought it was already uploaded, but I guess it's not. Hold on, I'm sorry.
You had all day, Ron. Come on.
You're fired.
Minnow and I were just watching it, so I thought once you uploaded it, stayed there. But
yes, he did try it, and it was
this file. Oh, there it is. Duh.
2 points off for the guys.
Yeah.
Hey.
Minus 2 points.
All right. There are. Let me move this thing. I can't read this. 5 leadership styles most commonly utilized. And interesting to work. The first one is authoritarian, which is autocratic. It's participative, which is democratic. Delegative is, I can't say the word, laissez-faire or something. And you have transactional, which is managerial, and then transformation, which is visionary. And the autocratic is pretty much common with a lot of people. If you want to read the little area, this autocratic leaders tend to rely on their own ideas and judgments, and they seldom seek advice from their followers. Autocratic leadership style is characterized by complete authoritarian control over a group. Like other styles of leadership, the autocratic style has its own advantages and disadvantages. And some of the examples are Steve Jobs with Apple, Henry Ford with Ford Motor Company, and believe it or not, Elon Musk with SpaceX and Tesla. These are some of the autocratic leaders. And if you think about them and then put in your past, your work that you've done in the past, think about how many people you worked for that were an autocratic leader, that, it was their own idea, my way or the highway. I'm sure we've all heard that. That's a That's a typical one. The next one is participant democratic. Managers who are confident in their affiliate or their abilities. Let me move this down. I'm sorry, it's in the way. Around themselves with people who have different perspectives and can offer a variety of viewpoints. They're not afraid to be challenged or to make mistakes. They're managers who empower their colleagues and not concerned with retaining all the power for themselves. Employees are encouraged to speak up, to share their ideas during team meetings, leadership process, open door policy, encourage employees to approach them for advice and voice their concerns. Meetings are conducted like a group discussion, not I'm here talking and you're going to listen to me. And then open communication is promoted and a secure atmosphere for exchanging thoughts is established. And I thought it was very interesting that the first person that popped up was Mr. Mandela here, who was an awesome leader, a very well-respected leader throughout the world. And that was a democratic leader. So just keep thinking while we're going through this, if you would, of a story that you can remember from these leaders. And could be funny, could be bad. Just something you can share. And then we have the good old delegative leadership. Delegative leadership, also known as laissez-faire leadership, is self-rewarding. Thank you, Gene. I knew you would know that. Thank you. How do you pronounce it? Say it again.
Laissez-faire. Laissez-faire.
Laissez-faire.
That's probably an Americanized pronunciation.
Self-rewarding leadership style in which leaders take a back seat and delegate decision-making to group members or employees. And of course, the famous Ronald Reagan, actor to president, was known as a delegative type person with what he did and the many things that he did. Then we have our managerial, which is a transactional leadership, also known as a managerial leadership. It's the leadership style that uses rewards and punishments. It's kind of like a teacher or something. Leadership style emphasizes structure and assumes that individuals may require additional motivation to complete their task. That sounds like kids. You have to motivate them. And there's several different ways you have to do that. So you're more of a transactional leader with teaching, raising kids, things like that. And I don't know who this funny looking guy is in the glasses, but I can't read his name. And then we have transformation. This is the one that really gets me. I think this is where we're coming in, folks. Inspire and facilitate among all stakeholders a shared vision of purposeful change that maximizes use of digital age resources to meet and exceed learning goals, support effective instructional practice, and maximize performance of district and school leaders. We engage in ongoing process to develop, implement, communicate technology-infused plans aligned with a shared vision. We advocate on local, state, and national levels of policies, programs, and funding that support implementation, technology-infused vision, and strategic plan. I don't know about you. That sure sounds like I'm passive. And why it sounds like I'm passive to me is because it reminds me of the boss, Mr. Ash McFarlane, in his Impossible Dreams, he called it when they made this. And we're all proud to be him. If you follow me, he'll lead you to me. And then we'll end with thank you and my address and all that stuff. So it was just something I wanted to put together and so I could keep on path because I like to stray when I talk for some reason. And if you look at the screen right now, okay, and the people on this screen, we're all owners of a business. We're all entrepreneurs. Okay. We are all our own boss. We don't have employees. But I can tell you from my past experience, in the many, many years that I've been in network marketing and multi-level marketing, and Marty will tell you this too, because he was in the corporate, he was in MLMs, he was in online marketing and all this other stuff. Some of the leaders try to be the boss. Okay. And they try to tell the people that they've brought in, shared their business with, whether it's recruiting, sponsoring, or whatever you want to call it. Once they do that, and you come into their team or their downline or whatever you want to call it, you tend to become a boss. Okay. And that does not work in a plan like Unpassive. You're your own boss. You have to take the bull by the horns, okay? And you need to lead it. You need to steer it. You need to talk to it. You need to share it. You need to explain it. And that's the kind of leader that I think that Unpassive leaders are made up of. Because who wants to work? I don't want to. We only paid, $143, okay, to get into this business. But think of the people, Marty has done it, that have spent thousands of dollars to join a business. Thousands of dollars to join a business, okay? And then you got some guy that's above you in the structure that thinks he's your boss. And you're saying, no, wait a minute. I didn't pay you to be my boss. I paid to come into this business to improve my lifestyle, okay? Provide for my family, and be my own boss, because that's what we advertise. Be your own boss, right? And don't take leadership. Don't let leadership go to your head, okay? Because you don't have to be special to be a leader. You don't have to be a genius to be a leader. You don't have to be a certain age to be a leader. All you got to do to be a leader is stand up, shout your name, tell people what you're doing, how you're doing it, what you're going to do, how you help them, okay? And lead them. If they come to you, lead them. Don't boss them. Just, well, this is the way I do it. Okay, this is the way I built my business. Okay, I went out and I shared it with 25 people a week. Okay, or I set a goal that I was going to share my business with 100 people a month. Okay, this is how I did it. And if you want help doing it, tell me what you need. Okay. To me, that's a leader. And there's so many of us on this screen, like Marty and Chris, okay, Gene and Ivy, Santa, Eric, we're all leaders. Okay. Now, some people will say, well, how can I be a leader? I've been in this business for 4 years and I don't have anybody. That's not a very good leader. Well, that's not true. Okay. Because this business, you don't have to have anybody. Our leader, Mr. Ash Mafara, with his vision and his marketing genius idea and brain, is helping us every minute of the day. Okay? And does he call you and tell you what to do? No. Does he email you and tell you what to do? No. Does he send you a text message that says, why are you doing this? Why are you not doing that? No. Why? Because it's your business. You need to treat it like your business. He's not your boss. Okay? He's the man with a plan. He's the man that's made it a done deal for us and given us the opportunity to build every day, build every minute, or not build. As long as you tell people about it, one day it's going to hit, folks. Okay? You might have one person today, but you might tell that one person. I'm telling you, I've seen it happen. That one person. And all of a sudden you look at your back office the next week or so, and you've got 20, 30 people in there that you have no idea who they are or where they came from. Except when you look at the back then with our back offices, you could look to see who did what with sponsorships, okay? And all of a sudden you see this one guy or this one lady that you sponsored, and she went to work. She was a true leader with her own business. So please, I've heard a lot in the last few weeks. That's what made me kind of think of this. I've heard a lot. I've seen a lot of things, a lot of posts that are really, to me, are disturbing. They're upsetting because people are worried over nothing. You know, people are going ballistic for no reason at all. Ash has got our backs, folks. And if you've been in you're a founder, you've been in it at least a couple of years now, okay? If you haven't seen it by now, this is probably not the horse you should be riding. That's all I'm going to say. It's not the horse that you should be riding, because our horses, Lori will tell you, our horses know us. They know our personalities, and they're going to lead us home. They will always lead us home. And I think that we've got leaders right on this panel here that are doing the same thing. Not that you're a bunch of horses, okay? Except one guy, and he's got 3 letters on the end of his horse. But we won't talk about that, will we, Chris? Anyways, who wants to open up? Who can tell us about what do you think about leadership? Anybody want to share? What do you think about leadership and the different leaderships and what we have with OnPassive?
I'll start.
Right. Go ahead, Eric.
When I was working at ISU, I had a supervisor, and she always tried to make you feel like you were a part of the situation, right? Making decisions. And she asked you how you want to do this, how you want to do that. The whole time I worked for her, I don't think she one time took anybody's suggestion. It was just all a facade, or whatever the word is pronounced. She was just coming on to make you feel like you were part of the decision. But that's actually worse, because it's pretty soon it's like everybody says, well, I ain't giving her my opinion no more, like heck with her or whatever. And that is frustrating, especially when you're the one that's actually doing the work and you know how it could be done better, and you give a suggestion, and it's not even, it goes in one ear and out the other. So yeah, I mean, I didn't ever like that. So that's what I got. Yeah, that's it.
There are a lot of people like that too. They try to make you feel all comfy and all this other stuff, and then they turn around and it's like you were talking to a wall, and it's unfortunate. Appreciate it for sharing, Eric. Thank you. Who else wants to go? Just open up.
I can go.
Go ahead there.
I had let me put my hand back down. When the job that I worked at for almost 30 years, in that time frame, I had 2 managers that we just knocked heads, and it wasn't because of it was because of his leadership, their leadership style. And I found from the experience with the first one, who made a comment and said, "It's my party." I was like, okay. It was a whole mess. The second time I ran into a different manager who said, "It's my party," I already expected, okay, this is not, it's almost like when they feel like they own it, instead of looking at the contribution that is coming from the employees, it's almost like they're not looking out for the employees. They're not looking out for the company. They're looking out for themselves. And that's just a pure selfishness way of leading. I've always done well with managers that participate, that want your input, that actually take your suggestions and even allow you to try your suggestions, even if you fail. Those are the ones that I tend to do very well with. And hopefully that's the way I try to lead that way. Even when I was in a manager position, I tried to do the same thing to lead that way. I want people to have the freedom to make the mistakes if it doesn't damage the company, of course, only because they can learn from it, or they might find a different way of accomplishing something which actually benefits the company. So that's my experience with managers. So
You know,
had a
and
couple
that's the
good
whole
ones,
thing.
couple
If,
bad ones, like everybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
if as long as you learn from it,
Mhm.
and you know, you remember that, man, I don't want to be like that guy. You know, and you get a position in management. It goes a lot easier. It goes a lot easier. I appreciate it, Lisa. Thank you.
No problem.
Minnow, did you want to say something?
Yeah, one of the worst experiences that you can have with a leader is the ones that they use their punishment or reward and insult your intelligence in the process. And so you don't feel valued or participated or listened to. I have in the almost 31 years that I worked as a dental hygienist in organization, I have gone through a lot of managers. And at the time being, I'm lucky with one of the managers that act like a servant. It's a privilege. It's a lot like on passive leaders here. Marty said the biggest leader is a servant. And she's very acting like that, and she's very well loved and respected, and I'm lucky that way. And I experienced that kind of leadership here, on passive. That makes me feel aligned with the motto of the company and help you evolve and expand your vision and make you feel like this is going somewhere. Thank you.
You know, and that's thank you, and that's true, because one thing that really impressed me about Ash McFarland when I first saw him and heard him talk to people, he never made you feel like you were below him. Okay, it was about you. He wanted to know about you. And as far as listening to ideas, this guy carries around yellow legal pads by the box, I think. And everything you tell him, he writes it down. And Marty can contest to this because he's known him a lot longer than I have. He writes it down. If you have an idea, he doesn't discard it with you. He doesn't just say, no, we can't do that. You know, it costs too much money. Too many people, don't think it'll make any money. Don't think it'll go anywhere. No, he doesn't do that. He takes your idea and he writes it down and says, that sounds nice. We need to check it out. Where else does that happen in a company the size of OnePassive? I can tell you, I can guarantee it probably didn't happen in Amazon. And it doesn't happen at SpaceX. Okay. And if you don't make $1 million in 6 months, I'm not going to give you a new Telsa. I was going to join his thing just so I could get a new Telsa. But anyways, who else wants to go? Gene, go ahead.
Thank you, Ron. I can give 3 examples of different bosses that I've had that had an impact on me over the course of almost 30 years at one company. And the first one, he ended up being terminated, actually. He had a very, gruff demeanor. And if I questioned him on anything, he would get completely, he would explode. And I would end up in tears and stuff like that. And it was so strange. I never knew anybody like him. But people are so complex because he was my greatest champion. And I really liked him on a personal level. He was the one who fought for raises for me. He, can you guys confirm if you can still hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh,
good.
okay, because everybody's frozen. So it was very interesting to me. Someone who was clearly out of line ended up being really great on one level. So I think leaders are very complex. They might be really good at one thing, but maybe not the other. My next boss, who I consider sort of my reward for having managed this other one, was absolutely lovely. She was a senior vice president. She was very kind, very, very smart, very welcoming of ideas, and very easy to talk to. When I interviewed for that position, the person that I interviewed with as a job share partner, and I don't want to get into all those details, I was sweating. I had sweat trickling down the back of my neck. She had all these serious questions. It was really intense. My interview with my actual boss was like a coffee chat, very laid back, so she had this wonderful way of talking with people. People loved her. If she had to give difficult information, she could do it. They used to call her the silver tongue, because she was able to do that and help you understand the information so that you still felt valued and all of that. But she, in my opinion, was not the very best of my experience. It was the next one I had, who ended up being what the opposite of what Eric was talking about, where she wanted our information. She wanted, feedback, and instantly took action on it. I just never felt so heard. So I feel like it's almost like if you can put up with bad situations with a good attitude, your next experience will be a little bit better, and then the next one will be better, and all of that. So it got to a point where when I actually left the corporate world, it was very emotional because I really adored my boss on a personal level and also as a leader. I thought she was just such a great combination of someone who was super smart, very kind. If anything was going on with my family, that was her first concern. She was always asking about, like when I was caring for my mom, she would ask about my mom. She, like Ash, she heard, she cared. So I feel blessed that I had so many different experiences. And Ash is just he's not my boss, but he is certainly a leader that I admire and look up to. And he is like the creme de la creme. He is just the epitome of what I consider an excellent leader. So sorry if I took up too much time there.
Do you think he kind of drew you, because he's that way, kind of drew you to it because of your last boss?
I think, yeah, it was kind of hard to top her. She was lovely. But yeah, I do feel that and I try to teach this to my daughter, where if, say, something happens, someone cuts her off in traffic, or something happens, and she starts to get really upset or angry or ticked off or whatever. And I tried to teach her that if you can go through those bumps in the road with your heart in the right place, your head in the right place, your mindset not ruffled by it, but saying, you know what, this thing happened, but I'm not going to let it ruin my day. I'm going to move through it with my head high and be patient and, all those things, right? Every time I do that, and I think she understands it now, is that there's always a reward on the other side. You can get through, like, life will come at you, but if you can get through it without losing your head or getting mad or bitter. Like, I feel sad for the people that are naysayers about On Passive, because they're shooting themselves in the foot in more ways than one, because they're taking a situation, maybe it's taking longer than they want, and they're totally responding to it like in a way that it does not serve them. And us here, we're so excited. We know that things take time. We're just as excited as when we first joined. We're happy. We're in a loving environment where we feel supported. That's time well spent. And the reward will be great. I've seen it happen too many times in my life. If you can get through anything with your head in the right place and your heart in the right place, it just does get better and better. Bumps will still come, but they just get easier to take, easier to manage. So that's my my philosophizing.
What was that commercial? Never let them see you sweat. Who said that? Somebody said that. But there's a guy on here that worked a very stressful job for many, many years, and I'd like him to kind of compare what he's been through compared to what we have now. Keith, can you speak up?
Sure, Ron. I've been thinking with your presentation, and I think it boils down to if you work for somebody or do you work with somebody. And I have found that in my specialty in the hospital, I always consider, I had a boss, we had a director of the department, blah, blah, blah. But the most person that I look to for recognition or as a direct supervisor was always the physician that was in charge of the certain situation. And if it was a trauma surgeon, ER doc, or whatever. And as you build a rapport, for me, I would build a rapport with ER physicians. And I could go to them and I could say, look, doc, I drew blood gas. Here's our lab results. This is what I need to do. And if they knew me and had worked with me, they'd go, Key, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Just fix them. And they're on a ventilator, on life support. He goes, just do what you do and fix them. I'm like, okay. Or I'd have a really anal doc and he'd be like, no, I don't want those settings. I want these settings. And it's just because they wanted to dictate the environment and they wanted the call to be theirs, regardless if it was right or wrong. And I would tell them, I'm like, okay, you're the doc. I'll do it. Write the order. And I would not do it until they wrote the order because I knew they were wrong. And I knew that the blood work was going to come back worse. And I've even had docs in emergency situations. And I remember one scenario, God, this was probably 10 years ago. And I intubated a baby and got the tube secured. And I said, here, take over bag. And as soon as I handed him the ambu bag, he took the bag and he squeezed it with both hands. And I went, oh my God. And I looked at him and I said, I just want you to know you did that. And he looked at me clueless, 100% clueless. He goes, what? I said, I just want you to know you did that. He goes, okay. I said, it's going to be clear in a minute, but you did it. He goes, okay. And I like this doctor. He was a great guy. Didn't take long. O2 sat started going down. Things got worse. And he looked at me. He goes, what did I do? I said, it'll be clear in a minute. And I got a light and I did a transillumination and looked at a lung. And he goes, I did that, didn't I? And I'm like, yeah, you did. We can fix it. He gave the kid a pneumo, blew his lung. And so I've worked with different doctors in all different kinds of situations. And you work with people, men and women, physicians. And it always seems that the ones with the biggest egos are the dictators and nobody likes working with them. They want to call all the shots and it's got to be their call. And some of them are great docs. And if you have that respect, if they're the doc. And I've always said to you guys, seek expert advice. And but sometimes they're not the expert in the room. So it's a rapport thing for me. And it's a respect issue for me. And it's a value. Do they value my input and listen to me? And I think that's the biggest thing here that everybody will agree with. If you've ever spoken with Ash, he values your input and listens to you and gives you the time where you feel like he's listening. He cares versus it's my company, go away, peon. So I think that's the difference. Do you work for somebody or do you work with somebody? And I think that's the biggest, for me, that's the biggest difference. So.
Ron, you're muted.
How'd I sound? Better?
Yeah.
Chris, you were in the manufacturing company, car manufacturing company. You worked the line for many years, I'm sure. Did other jobs. What was it like with you?
Wow, I guess I can relate to what everyone has just said, because I've had good bosses, I've had great bosses, I've had bosses that I would have threw off a cliff in a heartbeat if I could. It has a lot to do with what Key just said about that ego. I had bosses that they didn't want to listen. They didn't want to be talked to. They only wanted to bark out orders, even if they didn't know what they were doing. And that's, I guess, part of the territory when you come in to be on a boss. I think a good boss works his way up a ladder, not just graduates into it. Because when you graduate either out of college or either high school into a manager or a boss position, you have no experience with people whatsoever. The key to a great boss is someone that's experienced multi-levels of people's emotions, attitudes. And like I said, I had a few good bosses in my life. And those bosses, they listened, they gave respect, they showed respect, and they let you screw up just to prove a point that you got to listen sometimes. So in other words, I had a boss who he was teaching as a boss, hands-on, which I loved as a boss. And there was a guy with a big mouth, and I know how to do this. And he says, "Go ahead, let me see what you got." And the kid totally screwed up, young kid, normal. And the boss looked at him, and he says, and the kid looks at him, he goes, "I didn't do it right." He goes, nah, but let me show you. I think I see where you went wrong. He didn't scold him. He didn't say, you're just stupid, like a lot of us do. We have fun with it, but he seen the kid was young, and he also seen the kid had potential. He wanted to work hard, and he wanted to learn that. And that kid actually grew up into the system and became a great manager because he was taught right. If you're taught by what I call an evil boss, and there's a lot of them out there, you're never going to get any good seeds out of that boss. They're gonna be a boss like he was. They're gonna lead with fear. Now, in my business, in the auto worker business, you have multinational colors, religion, races. I don't want to do this. I do want to do this, and it's a horrible place to be a boss. And to be honest, it's hard for them to even. People don't want the job because of that reason. So sometimes even the greatest boss gets soured by a bunch of people, and it all comes down to it. A great leader raises great individuals by letting them be great, not just belittle them. But I've also seen people who completely ruined a great boss because that's just how they wanted to be. They didn't listen. I was UAW. I was Teamsters. I never was a union person. I was always kind of like on the fence. I agreed with the safety issues with the union, but I always agreed that you're always going to have a boss. You're always being told what to do. And I got through it because the way I did it is I just did what I was supposed to do, and I never argued about it. Unless it was a safety issue, then I would definitely speak up. But I never let a boss ruin me. If I had a jerk boss, well, guess what happens when you got a jerk boss? Production slowly fails miserably, and eventually the companies see. I always used to tell the company, well, you were dumb enough to hire this individual, so now you have to either retrain him or find a new one. And they didn't have a problem just getting rid of the guy and bringing someone else in. Problem is, they didn't look at the criteria. The criteria of a great boss is someone that cares, someone that listens, someone that has to be firm when they need to be firm, someone that's not going to be walked all over. I mean, I've had them all. I have a million stories of good and bad bosses, and you don't have enough hours in the year for me to tell you them all, like I'm sure he has and you have. But that's what it comes down to. a great leader it was made to become a great leader by his people that he is organizing or he's watching. That's really the people that make great leaders. Because when you walk out of the room and you're watching, I had 200 people I had to watch, and they say that he's a pretty fair guy. That's a great compliment to get. He's a very fair guy. He doesn't turn anyone, regardless who they were. I watched him get in and do the job when the guy felt, listen, I can't do it on him. Let me show you. I can show you easier ways to do things. And you get a lot of respect. So a great boss gives a lot of respect, but also looks for respect too. So, and I can talk forever on, I don't want to talk forever on it. I'm retired in my past, and they can figure it out for themselves like most of us do. But that's all I got, Mr. Ron.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Anybody else want to share before I call on another person here? There's a guy.
Collins just checked in, but it's 3 a.m. for him. So if he doesn't come to his camera, it's because it's 3 in the morning.
I was kind of waiting to see if he turned his camera on.
He's got some funny looking pajamas. You do not want to see them.
Yeah. But there's a guy on here that has a Collins. Did you want to say something?
Hello, just greetings to everyone. I just said I should join in. I was just listening to everyone. So it's just, sometimes you are blessed and humble to be here. And, I said, no, I can't really miss it because today is Oron. And I listened to Chris Johnson and the rest. I caught in a little bit late because I went somewhere and I was just rushing just not to miss it. But I'm happy again to be here. So I really don't know the topic, but the only thing I would say is we just have to be patient because patience is the key. Whatever it takes, we have to be patient because this is technology. None of us can predict technology. And that's what I've been saying, with those who have called me, and I spoke to a lot of people. I said, you know what? I've been in this industry for more than 15 years. I look at it, I did my appraisal, and which is coming up. And I calculate the time that I've been in software development. It's almost, I can say 15 years and above. Yeah. And that's true. So I've looked at everything and what is happening on passive. It's just about patience. When you are building something which is new, it is difficult to predict. Mr. Ashmofara can give us a deadline, but sometimes the deadline is not what we think because he is just like a messenger. He told us, I'm a messenger. What the developers or the engineers will tell me, that's what I will come and relate with you guys. But sometimes it doesn't go the way we think. Sometimes it's a tentative date. It is not a real date. And when they say, oh, you know what, we told us our boss, but now we've hit bottom rock and we cannot go that way again. We need to take 2, 3, or 4 days to get this sorted. We just have to agree with it because I've been there and that's what I'm doing. When they called me and they said, Collins, what do you think? Yes, estimation, this 15 days. When I hit something, I have to tell them, you know what, it can't work that way you think. It takes maybe longer. I will tell you experience today. We did something. I was doing performance testing.
Hey, Collins.
Hello? I had to let him go. I had to let him ramble. I'm sorry. And I was going to bust him.
So are you hearing me? Are you okay?
Collins?
What do you think a good leader should be? What do you think? What kind of leader are you? That's the subject.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know the topic. Sorry, I was just going
I messaged you, but it's 3 in the morning. So.
No, normally a good leader, let me take that. I'll go back. Thank you, Mino, to bring me back.
Ron was having too much fun laughing, so I had to bring you back.
Yeah. So a good leader must be humble. A good leader must be a good listener. A good leader must be a team player. A good leader must be helpful to others. A good leader must be someone who raises people above themselves, not be me. You don't want to be yourself, but someone who can raise somebody above themselves. A good leader is someone who can say, yes, I'm wrong, but I'm the first one to say I'm sorry. You don't have to be someone who said, oh, no, I'm right, but I'm waiting for Mr. A or B to come and tell me you are wrong. I am wrong or I am right. Though the next person around you is wrong and the person thinks he is right, but a good leader is someone who can say, yes, though I am right, I know I'm right in my heart, but I'm the first one to say, I'm sorry, I hurt you. The first one to be forgiving, not I'm right, I'll not forgive until you come and tell me I'm sorry. No, that's not a good leader. The first person to approach and say, let's leave it, let's move as, we are brothers and sisters, let's move together, let's listen to each other, let's grow together. This is unpassive. A good leader must have all of that, because this is what we have, honestly, our motto in the tech industry. Team player, someone who say, yes, I've made mistake, let me go out and say, yes, I'm sorry, I made mistake, I put my hand up, yes, I did it wrong, because that is the first thing you have to say. Someone who motivate others to grow, someone who inspire, someone who doesn't be the one to shine, but shine the light to others and say, you know what, I will stay behind, you go and shine. Because I remember what my brother Madi Digamo always said, when you shine the light to others, the light shine 100 times to you back, because they will always go and say, Madi Digamo said it, Jean said it, this said it, Rob, Ron, all of this. So let us be the one to always stay behind. I always say something like, I went to church on Sunday. Somebody told me, Collins, you've not been coming to church. I said, no, I come every day, but I take the back seat because I want to see your stupidness. So when you are doing something, I can see you, but you doesn't see me because you always take the front seat. Someone who is able to take the back seat and let the owner of the house come and tell you, this is not the place for you. I want to take you to the front seat, and then take those who always try to take the front seat and bring them back. This is what I will say. I'm always a scripture person. Those who knows me on passive, I can speak, but those who knows my other part more as a charismatic person, always take the back seat. So the owner of the party will come and tell you, this seat doesn't belong to you. Always take it and shine the light to others. That is a good leader. I will tell you, a good leader is charismatic, know what you want, speak the truth, and always lift people up, mankind. Bring people forward, like what Buddy is doing, and Gina, everybody here, lift everybody up. Don't be the first to be on a webinar to say, I want to speak. There are people I've met. They are not leaders. We have never seen them here, but they are the one building on passive. I know a lot of them. If you ask me, I will name them. They are the one promoting on passive, but they don't want to put their face forward. From Ghana, from Cameroon, from Papua New Guinea, they speak to me every day. India, they never created a webinar, but they are the one pushing people in front and tell them, we want to uplift humanity. And I know what they will do when it comes to their countries. We need to emulate that and say, let us bring them, let the light shine, in passive, and bring them forward. Sometimes it's not about me, Colin, speaking. No, I'm not a good leader. I will tell you, if I want to categorize people, I'll tell you, forget about me, because I can show you 10 or 15 people behind the scenes we don't know who are doing something marvelous, which I cannot do. But, I have the big mouth to do all of this because I listen to them. These are the leaders who can change everything. And they have things in their heart, what God has placed in their heart, to change their community, to bless people immensely, that mankind have never seen. I've seen them, and I've seen what they are doing before they join on passive. And this is the type of people I want to, I'm thinking like, I want to learn from them, and I want to copy what they are doing, not copy, but to learn from what they are doing and to have that heart of humanity. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Collins. I appreciate that. You know, you're a true leader because you came right into the webinar talking about things that were going on right now and trying to explain them and not knowing what was going on here or what anybody was talking about. But you wanted to get it into everybody's mind, that you wanted to ease everybody's mind right away. Right away. That shows a good leader to me. And then when we told you what the topic was, you completely shifted and didn't skip a beat, buddy. And that is a true leader. And we appreciate you coming more than you know. We thank you. And, you know, I've been watching this guy on here tonight, and he's got a telltale sign of when he's thinking about something. When you can get his mind running and he starts thinking about something, he kind of cocks his head a little bit. And he taps his bill of his hat. Okay. And then he'll look back, and then he'll go over, and then that's when you know you got this guy thinking. And he's going to say something that's going to be really good. So, my friend Marty DeGarmo, come on the speaker and tell us about it.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. I can only go up from here, huh? No, I'm listening because the stories are the same, right? I remember where I worked before on past my regular job. I was there since I was 18 or whatever. As time went on, I wound up, I had about, I don't know, 300 people reporting to me. I had 10 or 15 supervisors, a few people. And there was different styles of supervision. People that were, some people were in leadership that shouldn't be, let's put it that way. And I had a couple supervisors, and they thought if they were dictators and I'm getting the job done no matter what. And when I would evaluate them, they didn't stay there because they just didn't belong there. I would say, yeah, but I worked real hard at that. I said, no, a dictator type of leader is very lazy. I'm going to explain why. Because they won't go out on a limb. It's very easy. No, shut up, leave it alone. But somebody that is willing to listen, and I mean truly listen, like Eric said, I've had people that they play the game, and you know, for one thing, people underestimate people and think they don't realize your sincerity. If you're not sincere, people know it. I don't care if they're negative people or positive, everyone knows it. You watch somebody and you go, he doesn't mean what he's saying, or he's saying it for a reason, another reason, a hidden agenda, whatever. But I noticed for me, what worked was they had sent us all to Princeton because they wanted to evaluate what kind of leaders we were. And I wound up being some kind of mixture of something. I definitely wasn't AKC, but it was something like a servant type leader. And I believed in working. I want to know what people think. I want to know, because if you have too much pride as a leader, you're not really a leader. You're a dictator. You have to be willing to realize that when you come into the room, there's somebody there that knows something you don't know. And that's why I love Ash, because he'll come in. I mean, he's even asked me stuff that I couldn't even answer him because I don't know the whole situation. Well, what would you do if this happened or whatever? Just a conversation. And I'd say, I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I really can't answer that truthfully. And he came back and said, now somebody else would try to answer it, even if they didn't know. And I don't believe in that. That's not a good thing for me. And I also think that if you treat people half decent, now when you do the persuasion or the servant type leader, you do put yourself out on a limb because you're always looking for the good in people. So you are going to get knock down yourself. You're going to get tripped. Things may not work out. But for me, if you find, I've always had, I would surround myself, whatever I was doing, whether it was before I moved up in the company, I always tried to surround myself with people that lifted everybody up above themselves, really. And a lot of people don't feel comfortable doing it because it makes them feel inferior. It's a problem they have. I don't need to know everything. When I met Mike and Dan, I'm not the best writer. I couldn't do a video in 7 minutes. I can't do freaking anything in 7 minutes. So I found Mike could do that. Now, I didn't try to pressure him, no, you do this. No, everybody kind of fell into what they felt comfortable doing. And I think that's why it worked. And then they sent me around the world. So now I'm dealing with people that don't speak the language. But what I found, and especially in Unpassive and the job I had, was even if they don't speak the language, I can tell if somebody's speaking to me from the heart, even if it's in Russian, by their eyes, the way they move, or what they're doing. And I would go through crowds, and I had an interpreter with me and ask certain questions to try to find out. And I started surrounding myself with people in Japan, people in Brussels, and I did it in Russia, and it worked very, very well. The sad thing is the management everywhere I went, their management was dictator type. So the clash was usually between me and them, not them and their people, but I knew as soon as I left, they're going to be treated horribly again. But there's nothing I could do about that. But I think in Unpassive, the biggest compliment has paid to me when myself, Mike, and Dan were in Unpassive Nation, he wanted me to come with Mike and Dan and whatever, and we were getting ready to do the first webinar. And I said, what do you want me to do? He goes, do what you do. I want the culture that you have in Unpassive Nation and push it onto everyone. That's easy for me. That's who I am. But it really wasn't that difficult because most people want to be treated nicely. They want to be heard. And some people, because of where they've been beat up or knocked down, you have to let them know you have a lot more to offer than you think you do. That's inspiration. I inspire. I don't motivate. You motivate yourself. Once you realize you can, it's over. Once people get to the point where they know they can. Unpassive didn't make anybody. Lister is Lister. Collins is Collins. Now, what it did was it gave you the opportunity to believe it's possible. Once you can get past, wow, this can happen. I can do this. It's magical. I've seen better things happen with the people than I have the quality of the products itself. But that's why if you look at Ash's video and some of the old ones, he said, we're a family. The power of Unpassive is not the products. Although they'll be the best in the world, that's a byproduct. But what made us strong is people actually respecting each other. And the beauty of Unpassive is majority of the people are that way. The ones that aren't, they don't stay anyway. Look at in the last 5 years. The ones that you thought, maybe they're different, they're not here. Not that we did. They just don't feel comfortable because they're not into this. Well, I don't know what, because they don't trust themselves. That's where you get a manager where he plays this dictator and real rough and tough because he's a mouse inside. He's scared to death. And the only way to fight that fright of being able to talk to somebody is treat them like crap. Make sure they know you're the boss. But somebody that you really respect. Ash Smithbar is the biggest servant in the company. Doesn't have to be, but he is. Right now, we could have been on a 5th or 6th product right now, and the company could have made $1 billion easily. But he halted everything for what? For his family, so that everybody could be paid, so everybody could have commission or a bonus or whatever they have coming. Now, I know a lot of people looked at it different. Well, why didn't you do this? Why did you do that? But if you back off and be truthful, and I'm talking about you because I know most of you, but there's a big majority out there that have not let go of where they've been and what they're used to, and the boss that treated them bad or this and that. It's not that way in On Passive. If you think it is, you're following the wrong person. If you're following somebody that you look and they think they're better than you, find someone else. Find someone else. There's time I get frustrated, and definitely. Well, I usually shut off the camera and do something to punch the wall or something. But I would never do it in front of people. Never. Because I don't want people, because if you look like you're falling apart or falling down, it will affect too many people. But that happens with everyone. All of you have moved out and evolved into the better you. Is it 100% over? Not yet, which is really the good news. A year from now, you won't you'll start to realize, I can't believe I can do this. I can't believe I'm doing a webinar. I can't believe I'm talking in front of 400 or 500 people. And that happens because that was you. Ash didn't make that. He just knocked down the fence for you and said, look, all of this can be yours. When you decide you get it, when you make that choice, it's over. And a lot of people made that choice. The only time I get upset is when somebody tries to insinuate that Ash Mufareh has a hidden agenda. I take that personal because there's nothing in the history of On Passive that could possibly make you think that. When they got hit for millions and millions of dollars, when the SEC went after them, when the second merchant ripped them off, took, I don't know how many millions they got locked up, tens of millions. What did he do to us? He paused. He gave us a 30-day extension, which means every time they do an extension, there's no money coming in. But he's still paying the whole staff all around Africa and Egypt, and he's still paying them. And we're sitting in a webinar right now for what? What did this cost us? 5 cents per webinar? I mean, it's nothing. And if we can't focus on what he's done, I don't want to hear somebody's opinion of what they think he means, because he never gave us an impression he meant anything bad. He is a servant type manager, leader. He's not a manager. He tell you himself he's a horrible boss, corporate type person. It's just not him. But he's super intelligent, knowing if I treat Ron with all the respect and only look at the good in Ron, it's none of our business to look at your bad. My business look at Chris's bad, but that's it. Only one. Okay. So, but I'm just kidding. But it's not our business to look down on someone. Well, look what he did. Look what she did. I really can't do that because it affects me. So I would rather go, what are the pluses of this person or that person or this person? And when I get mad at somebody or I'm upset with somebody right away because I might die that night, I tell them I'm sorry. And I forgive them because it's not that big of a deal. Because the real problem is the person that did it, not me. Who am I? I mean, what's the big deal? Did it really hurt me? No, nothing. It doesn't hurt. It hurts me when somebody hurts the company or you guys because it affects a lot of people. But what we're doing, we have grown from just an affiliate to a big family. That's pretty powerful. But if you're going to lead, who makes you a leader of the people that follow you? It's not you, unless you're a dictator. But if you go on and people want to hear you and they want to be with you, it's because you told the truth and you mean what you say. Have I made mistakes? Oh my God, yeah. Every day. And if it's a bad one, I'll come back and tell her, I'll do a video. Hey, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. Is it fun? No, it's not fun. I don't like crow, and I've eaten pounds of it. But it's more important to me that I'm honest. And I see other people doing the same thing because, listen, negativity is very contagious. But so is positivity. So is being good. So is doing the right thing. I see it now. On Passive is a force to be reckoned with. Trust me, that's being said out in the industry. No joke. The SEC sat there on Monday morning and said, what the freak just happened? They should have collapsed. And the silence was deafening. Nothing happened. Any other company in this situation would have been done, would have been over. And that was one time I was asked, what do you think will happen? And I said, nothing. Why? Because you see what we built. We built a family. The core of the company's bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But like I have said, I had somebody approach me. How do I become a big leader? I said, you probably never will be. Why? Because you asked that question. I said, look, I said, go to history. If you want to go to history and look who is most admired. And people would follow them off a cliff. They were the biggest servants in the world. We would all do anything for Aspifara. And he doesn't tell us to do anything. He asks you, don't worry. I don't want you to worry about stuff. I'll take care of it. He doesn't tell us anything. Please don't lie about the company. It hurts us when you do it. Please don't ask for a chargeback. It costs us $400 a person. I don't know what a regular CEO would tell you, but it wouldn't be that. So you got to respect that. But anybody that's following you and as you're doing things, don't look at somebody else. We're all different, trust me. I can't be like somebody else because then it wouldn't be honest. Do I like traits of other people? Yeah. Do I learn from them? Yeah. But we're all different. And I'm happy to be here. And it's the best thing that ever happened to me. But anywhere I went, if I used people, it was because I wanted to see who they were, 100%. And that's what I'm seeing now. I'm seeing people. When I first met Collins, he barely talked. And when I said, well, you need to get out, maybe and talk to people. Oh, I'm not doing that. There's no freaking way that you want to do that. But believe it or not, sometimes you can see something in somebody that they don't know yet. Doesn't make you a genius. It's because you're looking. When you focus on other people, you can help people big time. If you're focusing on you, how can you help anybody else? You're too busy worried about how great you are. It's a waste. Anyway, that's all I have.
That's it?
That's it.
Yeah, that's all?
That's it.
It's over?
It's over.
Marty, I want to ask you something because I know you've probably seen it culturally, and I don't think it's been brought up tonight. I've experienced this. I've worked with physicians that come from different parts of the globe, and we have a situation with a patient, and the therapist that was responsible for that patient may have been a female. And she would go to this physician from a different country and make a suggestion, and he wouldn't even listen to her. And she would come to me and say, hey, can you talk to Dr. XYZ? Because this is what's going on, and this is what I think needs to be done. And I'm like, you're right. That's exactly what needs to be done. He goes, well, can you suggest it? Just because I'm a man and went and approached this physician from a different culture, he would not listen to a woman who gave the exact same advice or plan of care, but would not do it simply because a female suggested it. But now, have you experienced that? And
absolutely. In Japan, I experienced it. In Russia, it was worse because management was here and the people were peasants. The average income for the workers that I worked with made $100 a month. They had pieces of string that kept their pants up. One guy made a mistake, and we have this stuff called Woods metals. It looks like mercury. It's not, but it's Woods metal. It melts. It looks like mercury, and you can carry current to it while spinning something. That's how it works. They stopped using mercury, obviously, and this level was getting low. And he had said it to me. Now, if it gets low, the voltage increases. You could blow up that block, and the block is $20,000, something like that. And he's the one that cleans it out, and he's cleaning it and cleaning it and cleaning the slag out. Now the level of the mercury, eventually you got to add more. Now it's $150. It's $150, like it's almost like gold. So he said something to me, and I was passing, and he goes, "This is getting low." And he told the interpreter told me. I said, oh, "Okay." Hey, if Guinea was my interpreter, I said, "Tell him to tell the supervisor, get him more woods bottle." Okay. So that night, I worked like 12-hour shifts. I went to the hotel. The company owned the whole town. I went to the hotel. Next morning, I come back, and that block had blown up. And the company had docked all of maintenance 30% for the month. So instead of 100, they made 70. I could have let it go, but so I asked for a meeting with the plant manager, and I said, well, I don't understand what's going on. This is what we do. Yeah, but it sucks. Yeah, but you're in America, you do it. I said, oh, I just want to tell you it sucks because I can. Well, we'll call your company. Go for it. They know me. So that night, I paid the whole maintenance staff their 30% that they lost. But the sad thing is when they go back, that's how they were treated. I mean, that's how they're going to be treated. And then I went to Japan, and the work list says supervisor, lead man, machine operator, and women. They weren't even on the scale. They were less than. And I thought, man, that's so sad because they were so beat down. It's just the culture that if I asked them a question through the interpreter, they would look down and they didn't even feel like they could answer. I thought, they'll never beat us. We were worried about Japan. I was back there in the 90s. Oh, they're going to take over the world. You can't. You can't take half of your society and beat them down and win.
Yeah.
You can't win. And they didn't. The same thing goes in all these countries around the world. Right's right. And if you know, like my crew, when I worked at this company, was 80% women. On purpose. Are they a pain in the ass? Yeah. Yeah. But if you treat them right and you get their loyalty, I'll match them to any guy. They think different. And they trust one another once they're gone. Now, you don't want to get them upset. I know that. But I was willing to do that because people wouldn't do that. Oh, the man this, the man that. Too many men are little boys trapped in a big body.
Yeah.
And it's annoying to me. You know, people, I'll do this, I'll do that. They're cowards. You know, you hit me first, or you do this first. I did. Punch them as hard as I could. You asked me to. But most guys a lot of guys are cowards. Not everybody, but a lot of them are cowards. And then you put a coward and you make him a supervisor. It's a dangerous combination. Not always, but I think things are getting better now. But yeah, it all goes back to people that are serving. What do women do? They take care of people. Go in a house, the woman's taking care of you. You go somewhere else, the woman's taking care of you. My mom took care of everything. My dad got all the credit, but my mom did all the work. Yeah, he paid for something, but really the foundation was the mom. And the same thing over there in Russia and in Japan, they had some incredible women, but they'll never be heard. But at least in the United States, the problem is we got to stop putting people in charge that shouldn't be. Just because you got the name doesn't mean you should be that. And the beauty about OnPassive, and everybody here said it, you're all a leader. What level's up to you? Some of you don't want to be on a live every day. I'm doing exactly what I want. I'm not told to do it. I'm not forced to do it. I enjoy it. This is my why, part of it. And some don't, and some do. And some, I try to encourage people, but some people want to do webinars. Some people, that's the beauty of OnPassive. If you don't fly in OnPassive, it's only because you didn't flap your wings. Because everybody can fly. Everybody can fly. And I see it every day. So yeah, there's just overseas, there's some places that it'll bring tears to your eyes. People are not treated fairly. But I think Unpassive's even going to change that in the long run. May not live long enough to see it, but I think when you start giving choices and power, and choices meaning money matters. You give money and choice to somebody who has a good heart, it's over. Because I know what happens when you give it to somebody that don't have a good heart. There's governments being run with people that have a lot of money and they have no heart. They're dictators. You're going to see that change, I believe. I really do. You get a place like Papua New Guinea and 10,000 people, and they're building up income every day for the next 5 or 10 years, and one of them wants to be the prime minister or whatever they are. Imagine a prime minister with heart in a small country or an African state or something like that. I believe that'll happen. One seat at a time. Look where we've been now. When I got in, there was 15,000 people. And I thought, wow, this thing is saturated. Well, how small-minded was I? But yeah, I've seen a lot of injustice for sure. All right, I'm done again.
Are you done?
Yeah.
No more?
I hope not.
It's over?
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Marty. I love when you share because it comes from your heart, you know, and it pours out like a river. And I just love to absorb the wisdom that comes from that mighty mind of yours. So, don't just give me the wave off like that, okay? All right, let's go across the pond and talk to Miss Norrell. She's got her hand up.
Thank you. I'm glad that, like, listening to everybody has really brought up a few things for me. And I suppose one of the main things is just coming in as a woman. There has been many people that have mistreated women, myself included, particularly in male-dominated fields. So I think that most people, and Marty had spoken about respect, and I think that respect is not necessarily something you're born with. You are either taught it or you learn it yourself along the way. And sometimes those lessons can be pretty hard for people to learn that it's a respectful thing. Over the years, over the centuries, women have had to fight for where they are today. And one of those, I'm just going to just share a little story with you. When I was in the coal mines driving the dump trucks, I worked hard. You know, I worked hard to get the position. I was persistent and consistent. When they wanted 18 to 25-year-olds, I was 43 when I got the position. The other girl because they wanted 2, she was 23. She quit after 6 weeks. So we are pit bulls, you know, and the thing is, you go out there, you're in a male dominated, you already know that. So you're on the sort of back foot of, okay, be careful what you say, be careful what you do. You know, you want to get in there. They give you 3 months trial. You know, I started on $90,000 a year. So I wanted that because I was a single mum. Now I go into there, and the crew that they put me on, because they're a 24/7, you know, so there's crews coming and going and time off and things like that, had to be probably the worst crew I could have ever been put on. Not only were some of them or most of them young cowboys that think they know everything, that think that they can just drive a truck better than everybody, but they came after probably about just before the 3 months. They used to, where we were at camp, you used to have to catch a bus to the mine site. It would take about 20 minutes. And some of these, what they call digger operators or excavator operators, would be on that bus because everybody goes from camp to the site together, you know, unless they drive out by themselves. Anyway, they used to be very derogative, you know, they're swearing, they're carrying on. There's nothing that they can't say or do because they're classed as a god, because they're excavator operators. They make more than you. Anyway, I went and complained because that's what I do. It takes a lot for a woman to actually stand up against a situation like that. I went to the CEO and I said, this is what's happening on the bus on the way out. Don't like it. You know, there was probably only about 4 women on the bus. However, it was still the wrong thing to do, probably because of my mature age. It was something that they obviously had to do something about because a complaint had been brought to them. Now, the thing is, he said to me, well, from what they've said, right, because they turned it around completely, where you're probably lucky to still have your job, Narelle. So we're going to give you 2 weeks. You need to prove yourself, rah, rah, rah. Well, I tell you what, you talk about pit bull with lipstick. When somebody says to you, hey, you need to prove yourself, you stand up, you damn well going to prove yourself more than 100%. I gave it everything I possibly had. I reversed every truck. I did everything I could to make sure that I kept that job. I had 3 children to feed, you know, so I needed that position. I had worked hard to get it. I wasn't going to allow some males, men, leaders, so they thought, tell me that they didn't like me. That's basically what it boiled down to. Had nothing to do with my work, because a lot of guys there had been telling me, mate, you're one of the best truck drivers here. So I knew it wasn't my work. So the thing is, what I'm saying here is leadership, and particularly from a woman, it's really difficult to sometimes stand up to male leaders, you know, male bosses and things like that. I had never had male bosses before that. I had always worked in female environments. I'm a florist. I had my own businesses. But one of those big things that I wanted to say was respect. You know, a lot of people listen to reply. They don't listen to understand. And sometimes you have to take every tiny little bit of yourself and stand up and say, hey, that's not right. Or, hey, I can do this. You know, so that's what I wanted to share today from a woman's point of view with leadership. It's okay, because I'm 63. I've got to 63 because I kept going, because I kept standing up, because I kept being positive. But I feel sometimes that I'm a spokeswoman for many women who don't yet have that, who aren't yet strong enough. And if we support each other and show that respect, male, female, but woman to woman, it means such a great deal to any woman who's still stuck a little bit, that somebody just gives them a hand and says, hey, I want to help you up. So doing for others is really important. And just one other thing, I worked in my florist shop just as hard as anybody else. I was the boss, and I was the florist. And anyone that I employed, and I did employ some family members as well, I was the one scrubbing the buckets that had gone moldy, you know, that had gone a bit slimy, and I did all of that. So sometimes being a leader means that you have to get down in the pits and do the work as well, to show your people, to show others that you are there, you understand. Like I think Chris said, not about just being brought in on a ladder up here. Let's bring in a boss. They've never worked down here before or done the hard yard. So, but thank you all. I know I don't want to take up any more of your time. And just remember, everybody smiles in the same language.
Thank you, Narelle. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was good.
Well said.
Wow. We have really, I think the topic kind of sparked some minds tonight, because I really didn't, it's gone better than I thought it was going to, with people sharing, because I think it's something that we can all relate to. We've all lived, we've been there, we've done that. And we're so happy now that we don't have to. Life is so good now that we don't have to. Okay. We have on passive. On passive is our leader. And of course, Marty. And then I love doing that.
Hey, I want to hear from everybody though. Nobody else.
Yeah, I know. We're not going to quit. I just, running at the mouth a little bit, take a break here. So let's raise some hands. I'll call some names.
Yeah, call them. They don't raise their hand. Go get them.
We let the dogs out.
Yeah,
Sasha.
You guys can't hide. Don't even try it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Sathya, speak a little louder, Sathya, okay? Thank you.
Okay, yeah, okay. I want to mention that I'm always feel blessed to have you. I don't have that much of experience you're all having, but I want to mention one thing that I always follow my dreams, and I want to do something better on my own based on my efforts and my abilities, how I want to live. I want to be an individual person and improve on my own way. That's my path. When we go outside, we have to follow others, and we don't have that much of time to improve ourselves and to improve our abilities, all these things. So I want to improve myself and do something and to learn on my own way. On Passive gave me that power to learn something. So after coming to On Passive, I got that opportunity. I'm able to use my creativity in doing some blogs, all those things. So I want to be an individual person. With On Passive, I got that life now. So yes, Marty said, his words always inspires me. Yeah, here we got amazing experienced leaders. I'm just 34, but you're 60 plus. You got amazing experience in your lives. So listening to your words, all those things, really it's a blessing. With On Passive, we gathered with amazing family, really same-minded and really experienced persons you all are, to get connected with all of you, to listen to your words. It's really amazing learning for me. Basically, I'm very much interested in doing in my own way, in a creative way. So On Passive gave me that opportunity, so that after coming to On Passive, I have been improving in many ways. I'm improving my personality, how to speak to others, how to feel, to be a loving personality, all those things, to learn something and to attend great webinars, all these things. It's really amazing platform. I'm really blessed to meet you all, and to be a leader means, here we got amazing leaders like Marty, Red, Chris, and everyone who inspires with their amazing words. So it's really amazing to be a nice person and to develop our personality, to be the boss to our own life, because we have to take decisions in our life. So we should always learn something so that we can get the ability to make the right decisions in our life. So I'm really feeling blessed to meet you all, really amazing experience person, so that I'm learning here. So I'm really active to be with you, and really blessed, feeling blessed to get connected with this amazing family. As Marty said, every individual is having their own ability. We have to do in our own path, in our own way. Yeah, I like the most to be an individual, but we have to learn something and do in our own creative way. That's our life, because we should be ourselves. Not there is no need to follow others, but if there is something nice work with others, we can learn from them, and we can improve our lives. That's my experience here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was great. Thank you. Thank you. And you're doing a great job, Sasha. You are up and coming. You're a, Marty likes to call diamond in the rough, buddy. Just keep it going. There was a person in the chat that was asking, can you mute? There you go. There was a person in the chat that was asking about a professor was shaming a student in front of other students because they were a non-vegetarian or something. And I don't know what kind of leadership you'd call that. To me, that would be a dictator type leadership. Okay. Somebody that does that in front of people and doesn't care, it's their way or the highway and to me, that's more of a, it's not a leader. It's a dictator, probably middle name's Hitler. But anyways, that's what I would say. Somebody else might have a comment on that if they want to read the chat. There's some questions in there, but all
there
right.
are other names for that too, but we won't say it.
Yes. All righty. Ivy, open up your microphone. I see you taking all kinds of notes. Either that, you're writing a love letter to your husband.
Yeah, I think I was late for Valentine's, so I'm catching up. I'm writing something. But thank you so much for the invitation. And I really do like this topic because we have a great leader in Ash, and there are some things about him that when we copy is good. One of the great traits of a great leader is they are tireless. It has to be part of your leadership style. You cannot be a 6-hour person day. We see him running from hour to hour, but until your dream has solidified, you cannot be tired. Another trait he has is excellence. We see him doing it and doing it and doing it all over again. Now, when you have a great talent like Ash or even a musician, you have to keep practicing. Some musicians practice like violinists, they practice 8 hours a day. So as a leader, you have to be excellent. You have to turn out to be excellent. And then you also have to know what you want to become. Ash knows who he wants to become. So he can put his hand on his chest and say, do it or die. He has identified who he is. Who do you want to become? Where are you going? He has dominated his mind with who he wants to become and where he's going. And we can do the same. We have to do the same because all the great leaders that have produced much, the people who did the plane and all that, their dreams, the articraft that they wanted to produce, they dominated their lives with it. They had pictures on it. So the emojis that we put around us, we can put the house emojis, we can put airline emojis, we can put business emojis, not only hearts. So if you want to own a transport company in future, dominate your room with transportation symbols and dominate your life with where you're going. Another great trait of a leader is I think somebody just mentioned it. Ash learns. He says he learns all the time. You know how? Ron also said it. He carries a notebook. He's always learning. He says that he's surrounded himself with people who, I remember he said the people around him produce so much and he learns from them. And then we see that he appreciates and he acknowledges learning by choosing people who have learned. Learning is good. And like now that we've met, it's a learning curve. We have to go home with something. We have to go home with 1 or 2 points that when you go home, you'll do it again. And then a little bit of sleeplessness. Like Rob Gorman says, sleep is overrated, Look at the sleepless nights. You can see all these leaders here. At times, I wonder how they do it. They will leave this meeting, sleep 1 hour, be in Australia. We have Dr. Benny. I think she sleeps 2 hours per 3 days. I'm telling you, that is serious. Every 3 days, she sleeps for about only 2 hours. Because even though we know that medically is not good for your body. It shows the determination of where you're going. You can make it, you sleep later. And then also, they have like Maddie. Maddie is sleepless, and Maddie is always perfecting things that he's doing. We can copy him. We can copy the right cut. You know, Maddie at this time wants to copy the ladies that are winning. He wants the red lipstick, but we'll talk about that later. And then also, let your mouth generate power. Like Maddie is talking, but you know the reason why we listen to him is because he talks with his heart and he talks about things he's doing. So as he's talking, he's doing. When you're a talker from your heart and a doer, everybody will pick up what you're doing. So many of the things I'm doing in my life, I take it from Chris and Maddie and whoever, because it's inspiring not only by words, not empty, but because their heart is in it and their hands are doing it. And then great leaders too do not procrastinate, and they expect that also from the people who follow them. So you have assignments, like the people on my team, they are able to do the same thing I'm able to do. The last time I told Dr. Lisa, I got 2,000 people. The lady on my team, I think she got 495. You have to be able to let them replicate what you're doing. Steve Jobs is gone, but the power of how he left things, we're able to copy it. And even look at our own Ash. Look at the things he's teaching us. Who knew about SAS before Ash? Who knew about AI before Ash? Who knew about database? You see, now we are talking big words and we are learning them at the same time. Where did we get it from? We are getting it from our leader. I think I have about 20 points and I'll end here and I'll talk about the rest later. Thank you.
Wow. I have no voice. I can't do that, Ivy. Do that for me. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Thank you very much. That was great. I knew you were taking some good notes. We were going to hear from you. So let's go over to St. Lucia with Brown Sugar. Open your mic there.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ron, for giving me this opportunity. Great topic. Those who have shared before me, I am, able to resonate with them. I was fortunate to work under great leadership and bad leadership. Let me just share a bit of my experience. I was in the hotel industry, and my manager, he was such a great leader that he would designate roles in the department. And when he's absent, no one notices, because he would identify everybody's strength and assign you to that role. So when he's not around, the office just runs smoothly. Another great point I picked up from him is that he was able to listen, and he always wanted to allow you to air your opinion and to even give you the opportunity to try your ideas and your dreams in the department. Now, the thing with him is that if the idea failed, he and management, the higher, the top management would step in and say, hey, why did this fail? And he would never point the finger at the person who, who came up with the idea. He would take the fall for himself. So I see that as great leadership. Bad leadership, I have experienced that. I am working on the bad leadership right now. I don't even want to, go into it, because some people are they just want to shine. they take your ideas, they take your, your work, and they make it into their own, and you are not recognized in the department. So, with OnPassive, I have learned a lot. I am able to copy from a lot of the great leaders that we have in OnPassive, and I am grateful for that. And I thank God every day for being a part of this company. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julie. We appreciate it. I knew you was going to have something to say because last week you were stressed about your job. You said you had a bad day. So I said, she'll have a good one. So, Dr. Benny.
Hi.
Ooh, Smiley. Come on down, Smiley, and talk to us. You have to unmute so we can hear you, though. There you go.
Thank you. Sorry. I know that I smile too much, but I'm sorry.
I love your smile.
Hi, Shirley.
Bless you. Bless you.
Thank you. I'm under the weather. But good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to all our brand ambassadors, our affiliates, and we are also customers. We are the first customers of OnPassive. Yes. Thank you so much, and happy anniversary, Mr. Ron Roberts. I appreciate you. I am honored to be here this evening. Thank you for the opportunity to say a word. Before I do this, before I say a word, you guys know that there's something I always say. I want to thank our Heavenly Father for bringing all of us together this evening. You know why? Because not everyone is alive. I just heard 2 of our brand ambassadors, they died from India. A lady and a man, right? They died. They did not know. The lady has 5 children? And she's gone. So that's why I want to thank God that you and I, we are alive today, this evening, this morning. And I also want to thank him. Sorry for my voice because I'm under the weather, but I have to say something when it comes to a leader. I want to thank our Heavenly Father for bringing someone to all of us, because if it wasn't for this individual, our visionary, you and I will not be here this evening. And his name is Mr. Ash Mufareh. Most of the time I always said, please let all of us pray for him. We're praying for him. Why? Because he's undergoing a lot of challenges. And he said it, but he does not mind. That's what a good leader is all about. He is here for you and I. He is very humble. You guys know that, right? He loves you and I. That is why he decided to share this vision to you and I. He treats everybody with respect. You know that, right? He does that because he's human. The leaders who don't treat us with respect, they're nobody. They're cowards. Please forgive me to say that. A good leader has what? Respect by treating everybody the same. A good leader is someone who behaves like a leader. Remember that if you're a leader and 2 people or 2 employees, they have problem, you listen to both and you don't take sides. That is a leader. You calm down each and everyone. You walk with them. A good leader would take them out and feed them, then to ask them what's going on, right? You listen. A good leader is a good listener. A good leader is someone who communicates. He will listen to you. Let's give an example that an assignment is being given, right? And you are a leader. You work with individuals, those who are your subordinate. Sometimes you notice that you have one of the employees who is lazy, right? You will try to communicate with that person, that particular individual who is lazy. You take him out, feed him, Because sometimes when you feed somebody and then the person will tell you his problem, right? Why did I not complete this task at the right time? You will listen. Like I say, a good leader is a good listener. When you listen to that, you listen to somebody's problem, you are able to solve that problem. So he is also he solves problems also. A good leader is someone who understands the subject matter, right? When you understand the subject matter and I don't know the subject matter, you will sit also, you would be able to teach me, right? And I will learn. Like I said, a good leader is someone who has compassion. He will go beyond his empathy. A good leader is very courageous. Self-awareness. That means what he does is that he understands his strength and weakness. You know that when you do something wrong, you have to say, I'm sorry, right? There are some leaders that will not. They think that they are all and all. You have to always listen to them. They are always right. No. But when you look at our CEO, he is different. He is someone who knows what to do. Because of where he has worked, and he has seen a lot of people the way the big bosses, they maltreat the rest. Remember that we're all humans. But he comes and he calms down. No matter the pressure that he's going through, he takes it easy and he comes and smiles. Sometimes he will call Mr. Chris Johnson and talk to him whenever we are on the webinar. Mr. Chris will come and say, hey, listen to what our CEO is saying. This man cares about us. He is honest. A good leader has to be honest, and he is. A good leader is someone, who is caring. Why do I say so? I have one of my auntie who called and left a message that our CEO stated that in December, we will start receiving some dollars. I said, Mommy, have you been attending webinars? Do you know what our CEO is going through? Do you know, if you understand information technology, then you will know that things have to take time. You have to take your time to get up there. You don't have to push people. A good leader is resilient. So leader encounters setback, but resilience helps them to bounce back. Resilience will adapt, and what they do is that they learn from their failure. Remember, our CEO stated that despite the challenges that he's facing, but he's okay because he's learning from it. A good leader works together with his employees, and that is what our CEO is doing. He is the best CEO I have ever seen because of the industries that I've been working at. I don't see CEOs. I don't know what they do, but this man, I need all of us to respect him. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
You're more than welcome, Dr. Benny. Thank you for sharing with us. We appreciate it. Let's go over to Thailand. Talk to Mr. Casey Zavenbergen. Seen Shorty on Marty's screen there, so we miss him saying that. So I had to say it for him.
Thanks, Ron. Pretty good job there. Marty, sorry, Shorty does it the best. But look, coming from an engineering background in the oil and gas industry, most of my career, working through most of the refineries and gas plants in Australia, you come across a lot of different egos, I guess, and you've got to be able to work with those types of people. We're all different, so you have to be extremely adaptable to different people, different work methods, different styles, and I guess having been in Australia and working in Australia for so long, I've also worked in Singapore and also here in Thailand. And the cultural thing is also a big thing you need to take into consideration, that everybody sort of thinks differently. And you've got to be able to be a good listener, very adaptable, as I've said before. Like Ash is, I mean, Ash is extremely adaptable. He's an extremely good leader, and I try to take as much as I can from what Ash puts out there, and also other leaders. But having been in and working in different countries, it makes you appreciate a lot more other people's issues and problems. And to be a good leader, you need to be able to accept and also be able to adapt to their culture as well. You can't just come in and be stubborn and this is the way you have to do it, when other people also have their ways of doing it, and you can't say, well, I'm right and you're wrong. And sometimes, your subordinates can be smarter than you. They can come up with a better idea, and you've got to be able to accept that. So like everybody has said, we're all one family here, and we all need to be adaptable, and we all need to be able to listen and understand everybody else's point of view. You can't just, put up the blinkers and say, no, I'm right and you're wrong. I think that's extremely important. I think most people here are the same way of thinking. So, Ron, thanks for letting me have a quick chat, mate. I always enjoy being here. I love being part of this family. But we're going a long way. We're moving forward. A lot of people, I've got a lot of different ones that are a little bit skeptic at the moment. Things aren't moving. But I know within myself, Ash has he's got a hell of a job that he's doing, and I just pray for him every day, like everyone else does. So let's listen to other people's opinions. Let's not just be arrogant and stubborn in our thoughts. We've just got to be open-minded and patient in where we're going. So thanks, Ron. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you for sharing. Sometimes we got to have these people change their blinker fluid. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
All right. All righty. Let's go to Canada first and listen to Listra. Yeah. Okay. Are you there?
Even though it's hard, but we'll try.
You're going to have to unmute before you can bust our chops, Lister.
That's a Canada thing, Ron.
Man, I've been called Robin, Ron. Okay. Lister, unmute.
I just made you a co-host so you can unmute.
Try it again, Listra. You're muted.
Your red line is across the microphone, Listra. Talk. Listra, talk.
All right. Hey, refresh and come back.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, like next week.
All right, refresh. We're going to come back to you. So, all righty. All right, let's go with Calamity Jane. Lori Lunn. Lori.
I knew if you said that we were talking about. Well, I've been a leader in certain categories, and I've had to learn from other leaders, say, to break a horse. I train horses most all my life. I'd buy cheap horse and I'd break it and train it. But I had to learn from leaders that did it in certain techniques, certain gentle ways, and some that had rough ways, So you had to pick and choose what was the best way to train this horse. And you'd have to put it through all of its paces, You'd have to teach it, your saddling and then how to get on and without bucking, to teach your horse not to buck. But, once this horse has gotten your trust and you've shown love to go along with it, sternness and love, then you become one after a certain amount of time, but you have to go to leaders that are going to take you and show you the way to be able to do and accomplish that with a 1,200 pound animal who might kill you. But but once you become that one, and when you think it, just like you and your dog, you become one after so many years. The dog knows if you're thinking something, that dog knows it. But anyways, and that's how you get a well-oiled machine going, with love. But that's like on Passive, as we listen to our leaders for guiding us the way, some do it one way and some will do it another. But, so like, I'm not much of a speaker or marketer. I can't grasp somebody. Sometimes I can, but I learn here, as to be able to open my mic and be able to talk now, because before I didn't. So I'm learning as I go, and I'm waiting for those tools to come, because I'm not a good speaker. I can do other things and other avenues on how to do what I need to do and grow. But I know that I'm in a great place. I have patience. I have virtue. I have everything I need with everyone. And I just want to thank you guys. And I'm here, and I get to be a leader.
So, Lori, you know exactly how to channelize your leadership skills.
You learn from someone else, and then you take it and you build it and mold it your way, because like, with my horses, some people are rough when they break a horse. Me, I'm a different, I love, I talk, I use my voice, my touch, and I can read a horse with all those years of experience. I can read that horse like that. If he's got his ear back just a little too far in the corner of my eye, and he's coming at me with his mouth, my reaction's instantly gonna. I'm loving, but I'll punch that horse very quickly and snap at it, and then I will show it love afterwards. To bond. It's, I don't know.
Amazing.
But it's just things that you do.
Wow, that's amazing. Lori, thank you, because now I know how to deal with Chris Johnson. So,
this is true.
Because he bucks once in a while too, and I just can't get him to stop it. So
I kind of want to pretend I'm a horse, and you start me going.
No, he's not a horse. He's more like a donkey. But that's all right. I can work it.
I've dealt with some donkeys before. Yeah, they're a little different.
Oh, let me tell you what. I drove with one all the way to Florida.
How do you handle a unicorn there, Lori?
Watch out for the horn.
Yeah, don't play hop. Hey, don't play hopscotch with it, all right? Leapfrog, I mean.
All right, thanks, Lori. You do well.
Thanks.
Okay, let's see. Listra is back. Listra.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Wonderful. You guys like to make joke of my internet over here in Canada, right?
No, never.
It makes the joke itself. It's
Eric, thank you. Well, like I was saying when no one heard me, this topic is incredible. Thank you, Ron, so much for choosing this. It's really, really great. My experiences out there, I've had a few. The first one ever that first job after leaving school, that should have been a great experience. It wasn't, because my manager was always sweet, and he had a wife and a young child, but I was a young girl. I was a teenager, and he was actually hitting on me. And because I didn't respond in the way he wanted me to, it was very hard. He started being mean. That's when I left that job and I came to Canada. And it was a great move because I worked at a school board in Toronto, and it was the best job ever. The principal of that school was an amazing man. You called him by his first name, and he never wanted to hear anything derogative or anything like that from any of the staff. He says, my job will be easier if everybody can do their job. And that's how that office worked. And he was just kind and giving, and I loved it. When my husband was ill, everyone rallied around me, and they were so caring and giving. Now, when my husband passed away, he looked at me and he says, you take 2 weeks off. I don't want to see you in this office until but I couldn't. I had to work. So I took 1 week and I went back to work, and he called me, he says, what are you doing here? I said, Ed, you know what? I need people around me. I need this office. All the people are so good and helpful and kind, and that is what I needed. So he said, okay. So I worked, and everybody was wonderful. And then one day I was called to his office, and I'm being called to the principal office. What did I do wrong? And I am, like scared now, So I walked in, knock, knock, and he opened the door and he says, sit. I thought, oh my gosh, what's going on here? But he wanted to know how I was doing. He says, how are you doing? I said, I'm fine. He says, are you sure? Is there anything you need? And so on. And that's the kind of boss you want. Because when you get people giving to you, you want to give back in the same way. And that's how I've always lived. If something is not right, I don't have to stay there. But when it's right, you want to be there. You just want to be there. You want to do what you've been hired to do and more. Okay, so that experience was the best thing ever. I wouldn't have wanted to work anywhere else at that time of my life. When I left there, everything was good. I left there because I had 2 small boys that I had to help raise now. And financially, I was okay to just quit and stay with them because I realized, that they needed me then. And he was great with it. Once they were older, I went back to work there because they wanted me there. And why? It's because of the kind people. And then when you do what you're supposed to do and you do it right, people will always come back to you. They will always come back to you. And that is how, I have always lived. When you shine, and I had one girl who said to me, but what is it with you? I said, why? She says, like, you've got this shining light. And I said to her, do you know what that is? That's Christ in me. When you live with Christ in your heart, when you do good, and people there, they see it and they will then do good in return. And that is how I see on Passive now. Marty, Chris, all the leaders, what are they doing? They're doing good, and they're doing good for us. Ash is doing good for us. So we see it. And what do? We do good. We want to be there. We want to be able to say, hey, I am here with you and for you. And that's what I do. That is how life should be. I don't believe in people who wants to step over you just to get where they want to get. They're going to walk on your heads to do it. You know what? Eventually you fall. Don't do that. Eventually you're going to fall. You stay, you work with the flow, you love each other, you help each other, and you are going to get where you're meant to be. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Lester. That was great. That was great.
That was lovely.
Oh, it was. I don't even have anything smart to say about it. That's what was bad about it. Loved it. Thank you. All right. Excuse me. Cough drop. Raphael, let's go to the rooster. I'm going to call him from now on because when I was talking to him today, Raphael's called me quite a few times this week, and I appreciate it. Checking on me. And when we were talking today, the roosters were in the background covering him up. And I said, Raphael, you got roosters? I was, oh, man, I got chickens. I got chickens all over, man. So, Raphael, come on down from the farm.
Hey, thank you, Ron. Good night to all. Ron, I sit back and I listen to everyone tonight, and I came to one conclusion. You're a great leader, brother. The way you orchestrated this chat tonight, you got all the long-winded people out of the way first before you came to me, because you know everyone is ready to go to bed, and they know that I'm not going to be long. But yeah, I love the topic. It's a timely topic because I've dealt with a few managers in my time. You know, I had some managers that was straight-laced. They had the guidelines that they put in where you work under and you go by the guidelines, and they don't deviate for those guidelines. And it's timely because of my topic today on the video that I did today, that people don't think out of the box. You know, I've also had some managers where they allowed you to think out of the box. They didn't follow the guidelines. I mean, they followed the guidelines. There were guidelines set, but if a problem came up, they gave you that opportunity as an individual to work that problem out before they would bring in outside help to resolve the problem, you know. And I figured that was one of the best jobs I had, where we could have used our mind, our brains, you know, to work out situations where there was no other help around. You know, we had some problems that had to be solved on the fly, and we were allowed to do that. You know, versus those managers that, hey, because it's broken, we're going to bring somebody in, we're going to pay them the big bucks to do it, and we're not going to give you that opportunity to expand your minds. I love what's going on here on Passive, that we got in a company there where we can expand our minds, that we can think outside of the box, and we can, oh, I got a video coming up tomorrow, guys. That's going to be awesome. Also, that is very timely for this. And it's one where you will be happy doing what you do. And people would want to steal that happiness. But with On Passive, we're going to just go there and invite them all in to come and see what they can do to enjoy that happiness with us and to take it away from us so that they can be happy. But Ron, like I said, thanks for this opportunity. Thanks for allowing me to speak tonight, and good night to all.
Thank you, Raphael. We appreciate it, man. You're a brother. We appreciate you. Hope to see you again soon. Old Pitbull's got her camera off, thinking I'm not going to call on her probably, so I'm going to call on you. Caroline, open your camera.
She said in the chat that she's on a family vacation and not able to participate, but that she's listening. So I don't want to speak for her, but I did see that. Just wanted to mention that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I didn't see that. That's the Brian had to take his nephew home.
Yeah. And Kiana went to walk her dog, so I don't.
To walk her dog. So yeah. I think we've had everybody speak. I believe.
Very
Oh,
good.
Kiana is back.
I told you I would be last.
Kiana, are you back?
She just messaged me that she was back.
Turn your camera on.
We
Play a
want
slow moving
Kiana.
song.
We want Kiana.
Kiana,
There
Kiana,
she
Kiana.
comes. Yeah. Unmute you.
You thought you were going to get out of talking? Huh?
No. Just pink flying in. Still got my vest on, but so I wasn't sure how long you guys were going to be, but okay.
Speak to
Are
us.
you on board with the subject, Kiana?
Yes.
Topic.
About leadership, bosses.
Yes.
Good and bad, and all in between. So as you guys know, I've been in healthcare for like 30 years or so. So I too have gone through a lot of managers and even just coworkers that have, so I was an LPN for many, many years. And I also helped LPN students would buddy on with me and stuff. And there's a huge difference from students way back then to students nowadays. Their training is very specific. They're not as much of a team player, I've noticed. And they've got attitude, which is a real shame. Because when I was like, not even maybe 10 years ago, when I was at work and I had some students with me. So I always told them when you're not too busy, you got your charting, you've done whatever, and you're just doing rounds and whatever, care aides can be really busy and tied up. And, make a bed, do this, do whatever, fill some waters, do, whatever you can to help, because you're there for the patients and stuff. And it just showed that you are a team player, because it's so important in the type of work we did. Because if you refuse to fill somebody's water because it wasn't your job, that patient is thirsty and it affects them, right? It's not about whose job it is. So I did a lot of that, and I talked to the patients, and I got along with my RNs and the doctors and stuff. I'm always kidding around. I'm always making jokes. I'm silly with my patients, and it just made it really comfortable for everybody. But yet you still have to know what your role is, and when not to step above your sort of, where you should be, and how to still treat respect to the doctors and everything else. But we had a manager that just came in and was very, I guess she got away with a lot where she was before, and then she came to our unit, and we were all a really happy unit. We would, we did a lot of things outside of work, and we got along with everybody. Like, we'd have potlucks, and then we'd call the maintenance guys and call the physiotherapists and everybody to come and join us and stuff like that. And we were all really close, the whole hospital, especially with our unit. And when she came on, she scolded, like we have breakfast on a weekend, like we do a pancake breakfast. Some people were off, they'd come in and we'd, bring in the sausages, and we whip it up in the kitchen, and it would just be, it's mainly for the staff appreciation. And so again, we, the guys that are on, the maintenance, whoever, housekeeping, whoever was on the floor at the time, were all welcome. And she was there. She came in early. We didn't expect her to come in for this pancake thing. We thought it was below her, but but she came, I guess, and she noticed that some of these people were coming in, and she just went, wait a minute, who are you guys? And then we all were just like, oh my God, don't tell me that she's actually going to kick these people out. They're here now. Some of them already starting to get food. And we said, oh, but we've always done it this way. I said, you know, whoever's on the floor, because this is for staff, we just welcome everybody. And we've always done it like this. And she said, yeah, staff for this floor, not people that go all over the floor, all the different floors. Like, we were just shocked. Everybody was like, we didn't know what to say. And she walked out, and we just said, grab your plate and go somewhere. But grab your plate of food and go somewhere. Sorry, you can't, you know, chit chat with us and stuff. But that was like her first week with us. And we were like, oh my gosh, it was a horrible few years. A lot of people took early retirement. Some people just left to go on different units, left the hospital, and it really shattered us as a whole group on that floor that had worked with each other for years. And we start losing touch, and it was terrible. It was the worst, like I said, first couple of years ever that we've ever had. And before that, we had such an awesome person, and it just crushed everybody, and the whole attitude changed. People just started sticking around with their own, and it changed the whole unit, and it was so sad. But as more students came along, right now I'm a care aide. You might have been confused because I did say I was a care aide, but then next I was an LPN. But it got a little crazy for me, and then I had some, injuries, and I decided I couldn't handle, the way things were being done. It's just not like the old days. So I stepped back to be a care aide because I felt that was more patient care, right? Actually being with the patient, talking to them, helping them walk, it was more personable care, I guess, as opposed to just giving pills and blood pressure and see you later. I enjoyed that. It was physical, but I was willing to do that. So that's kind of my story. And but I loved my job. I loved it. I loved everybody. Like I said, I joke around, and everybody, come into a 4-bed male room, and there's our sweetheart. There's, some people I should be calling you sweetheart. And all this is no, it's fine. We're just, it's just being, ourselves, because that's just the way it was. And yeah, it was good when it was good. So, yeah.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. When you first started talking, you had Key Window looking like one of those dogs with a spring on it, on your dashboard. He was just.
But that's because I could relate to what she was saying.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I did even work in Emerge, and that's even a whole different ball game there. But it was again a little bit of male female issues in a lot of cases too. Even in an old folks home, people would just say, okay, no, I don't want a male, or I don't want a female. And here we have East Indians, we have Asians, we have just a whole, native. We got everything out here in the Lower Mainland. And there's some, like sad stories. Like one time I worked in Emerge on New Year's Eve. I don't know what was in the water, or what was in the beer or the booze or whatever it was. We were getting all kinds of people coming in that couldn't pee. And what the heck is going on tonight? Like everybody who couldn't pee. And they weren't just old people. They were 40s, 50s, like having issues with their bladders, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. And so between me and a male, we would take turns. Okay, it's your turn to put the catheter in. Okay, it's your turn to put the catheter in. So, but then this one lady, it was his turn, and a little bit older, like maybe 60s. I shouldn't say that. That's what I am. But anyways, the daughter came to us and said, "There's no way he's gonna." And this guy's Asian, and then of course I'm not Caucasian. I'm different. And she said, "He's not putting that in, like, And I said, "Why not?" And he was an RN, and I said, he's been around. He's been in Emerge. He's like he's been around for 25 years. He's really good at it. There's nothing for you to worry about. She goes, "No, I just don't think male should be touching my mother." And I said, at this point, she needs to pee. Would you, rather,
Great stories, Kiana. Very
I
great
just
stories.
forced it though, and
Yes.
I made her let him do it, and then she finally gave in and was appreciative of it afterwards. She says, "Yes, there's nothing
you.
wrong with him."
That was a real pisser, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The way you
Thank you, Kiana.
the way you approach that, did you just tell them, say, "Yeah, this is the first time I've ever done this," and just do it?
Yeah.
I've done that many
before.
times.
Yeah,
Never done this before.
I've hit you.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, this has been great tonight.
Right.
I have to be at the airport at 4:45 in the morning, so I just want to say, if you listen tonight to everybody sharing, we all shared the same thing. Doesn't matter what religion we are, doesn't matter what race we are, doesn't matter what ethnic group we're from. We just all shared the same thing. Words might have been a little bit different, okay? But look how much we really have in common.
Oh.
Different things. Okay? So that just goes to show you and me, that we're all in this together, and we're all leaders. Okay? Don't ever think you're not a leader. Don't ever think you're not good enough to be a leader. And don't let anybody be your boss. Did you hear that, honey? She heard that. So, I just want to thank everybody for coming. I appreciate it. I'm glad. I hope you like the topic. And I like doing webinars kind of like this. It brings out things in people. You learn a lot about people. And like Lori, I can't wait to go to Washington and act like a horse so she can break me. No. So anyway.
Ron, do you want to stop recording? Ron, do you want to stop recording so it doesn't record and